Let's discuss Michael Carrick. This video is sort of one I wanted to make after seeing Rory Jennings, in particular, state how impressed he's been with Michael Carrick, which don't get me wrong, he's obviously won 5 and drawn 1 in the Premier League since he's come in, which is an impressive feat. But within that video, he said he is a manager sort of worthy of the institution of Manchester United and used a load of superlatives. And I thought it's important on this channel to sort of be a bit more reserved, take stock, and sort of assess what I think is Michael Carrick's ability and suitability for the role of Manchester United. I think it's important, firstly, to caveat this. I do really obviously watch a lot of Rory Jennings. I think he's a great content creator, and I'm not sort of digging out his sort of channel or viewpoints or anything like that. I just disagree maybe a little bit with how quick he's jumping the gun for Michael Carrick to be the Man United manager. With that said, I do actually believe he's done a very good job to start with at Manchester United, and I do believe that the ship is truly turning at that football club. It's just whether it is due solely down to Michael Carrick or if, arguably, the ship was sort of turning before and the tide was rising before Michael Carrick came in under Ruben Amorim this season. I think that over the last few weeks and months since he came in and beat City in the fashion he did, Michael Carrick has been heavily praised, and rightly so. Ultimately, in the league, he hasn't lost yet. He's drawn that one to West Ham, but he beat City and Arsenal in his first 2 games, which arguably were the 2 games that you'd want to have going into the hot seat at Man United, because you can ride the crest of a wave if you can get results in those 2 games. He undoubtedly works very hard, and he's implemented Manu back into the team, which I think that reintegration was massively needed because Manu is one of the better midfielders that Manchester United own, and the fact that someone of his ability was being sort of ostracised from the squad was a massive issue for Man United. I think bringing him into the actual play in the first team is massive to the reintegration of that midfield and improving Man United definitely in the long run, and therefore there is definitely green shoots for Manchester United going forwards. I also really do like Michael Carrick's use of Benjamin Sesko. He's clearly a very talented but raw player, and he's been used off the bench and currently is flourishing. I think he's got something like 6 goals in the last 7, and he obviously scored to make the difference against Everton yesterday. Now, the last 2 appearances, I want to say, Everton and West Ham, United have rode their luck a little bit. Against West Ham, they were comfortably the worst team. Against Everton, the performance didn't necessarily warrant a result, but they got away with it. And that can happen over the course of a season. You can have games like that. But the fact that they've been so good up to that point and struggled in the last 2 games to perform to a good ability is something just to be wary of. I'm not saying it's the end of the world, but just to be wary of. I think that the mood music at the start of the season for United was quite strong. I thought they were going to get top 4 or top 5 after their window. They brought in Premier League proven players like Benjamin Sesko and Cunha, which showed a bit of a difference in terms of the approach that Manchester United were displaying in the transfer window. I thought that they had changed that sort of way that they were going to conduct themselves in the transfer market. And whilst they were spending good money on definite first teamers for sure, and Buemo and Cunha were sort of as close to a definite success transfer as you could get. They also suited at the time Amorim's system, and luckily, because they're versatile and used to playing 4 at the back, they also could suit whatever manager came after him. So it was sort of a guaranteed success signing. Now, you look at United's first team, I think they are comfortably one of the better teams in the Premier League, especially when they play 4 at the back. They do have question marks in defence, I'd say. Long term, the suitability of Harry Maguire and Lisandro Martinez as your 2 centre-backs in a league that's getting ever more physical is something to be debated. Not only that, I think Diogo Dalot is not a very good footballer and needs to be replaced, but Mazraoui can come in and offer that experience and quality. In terms of the left-back spot, Luke Shaw's been an issue for a while in terms of fitness. There's no doubt of his ability, but it's whether he can stay fit. And If he can stay fit to the end of the season, United have all the chance of getting that Champions League place. I think it's also going to be good for Luke Shaw, the fact that United are out of all competitions, so they can have weeks rest between games and focus on the league. So, with all that in mind, the transfer strategy has changed, and I think that going into the summer, that if they address the centre back and full back spots and potentially bringing a midfielder that these apparently seem to need in Wharton, which I'm not sure. I think maybe an Elliot Anderson's a little bit more suited to United. Then they should be continuing on this trajectory. Keep the sort of first team that you've got, add to it with depth, and they could potentially even mount some form of title charge. The issue is all of the positive things that I have just said about Manchester United aren't because of Carrick. Carrick is there, and they seemingly have changed this sort of approach with Jim Radcliffe over the last 2 years to now go a bit more Premier League first, Premier League proven. United of the past spent so much money on the likes of Paul Pogba, Anthony Martial, etc., from foreign leagues, and the transfers ultimately didn't work, hence why they have gone down and down and down in the league to the point of last season where it's probably United's worst season in history of the Premier League, definitely. Obviously, they've been relegated before, but you know what I mean. So, with regards to Manchester United, I think it's important that they can find their feet again. They can bring in more Premier League proven players, young players who will develop at the football club, and strengthen in terms of their depth. And that sort of change in the club mentality isn't because of a manager. I thought there was green shoots this season under Amorim. They did start showing some good attacking play. They did start being the more dominant force in a lot of games. They had the best at some point at the start of the season. They had the best attacking metrics across the league. So the quality is there. Now, I think what's important going into the summer is keep Bruno Fernandes for one more year because there's so much to do in the transfer window before you can sell him. If you can get a load of money for him, maybe you sell him, but you can't really replace a mercurial talent like Bruno Fernandes. My point is that the United team at the moment is just carried on from the positivity that was starting to show under Amorim in terms of the squad makeup and the build-up and the quality of the players. Now, Amorim obviously got sacked by his own idiocy in the press conference. He basically made his job untenable and made it so no manager could stay in the hot seat at Manchester United after the comments that he made. Now, the real test for Carrick is if he gets this permanent job by getting top four, top five at the end of the season, can he go on to next season when there's more competitions and continue this form? That remains to be seen. His previous testament at work would state probably the job's a bit big for him, but equally, whilst I think he is probably a Premier League manager, but an average Premier League manager, some managers suit clubs, and ultimately, you could say that he is obviously being a United icon or legend, very suited to this job because he knows that the job won't eat him up. He knows what's expected of him. He also seems like a level character, so maybe, just maybe, the fact that he's maybe less tactically aware than or astute than like Arne Slot, Pep Guardiola, Mikel Arteta, etc. That might not matter in the instance that he just gets the club. A bit like Frank Lampard in his first time at Chelsea, where the football was good, they fought for the badge, they played for Frank Lampard, and he ultimately brought through Cobham prospects and made them sort of supersede their ability. Some managers do just fit, and Michael Carrick might surprise me. He might fit, but he might also win loads because he might be a tactical genius. My thoughts on the matter are more the resurgence of United has come sort of by like catching lightning in a bottle, so to speak. They were already on an upwards trajectory. Michael Carrick's not really changed much other than maybe playing forward at the back, playing people in the right position, bit of common sense, making players work hard, instilling the United values of work hard, take risks, attack, and he's just sort of done what he knows, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, by the way. I'm not slating the manner of how he's done it. I think that he's been, by definition, very successful so far in the United role. It's just whether he can continue that going forwards if they give him the job. What I'm trying to say is I think that the media circus around Man United is a little bit hot right now on where they necessarily are because of the good form. And there are a lot of people who are obviously negative about everything. So I don't think it's necessarily bad to be positive about a manager coming in and a project that you've adopted. They could challenge for the league soon with a few right transfer windows, but I think it's just about bringing that mood music down a bit, being more realistic, on what to expect of a manager who ultimately is quite new into the job of management. I think there is a level in between. I think he probably is going to get United to the top five. I think he probably will get the job, rightly or wrongly. And I think the job, he can handle the pressure of Man United. It's just whether he has that tactical flexibility and ability to manage multiple players when the squad's a bit thicker and there's more players involved, which remains to be seen. What I'm trying to say is I don't think Michael Carrick is the second coming of Fergie. But equally, I think he's probably a bit better than like Eric Ten Hag. But that's all I had to say on that. Basically, don't get ahead of yourself, United fans. United are coming. They've got a lot of things to be positive about, and I think the board are slowly getting their new ideas into fruition and bringing the club further forwards. They've got exciting players, the players that I really enjoy. Bruno Fernandes, Amad Diallo, and Buemo. A lot of pace in that team. And it wouldn't be surprising if Rashford comes back from his loan at Barcelona and starts performing at United again. Because as with Kobe Minu, it seems like an easy win for United. Bring Rashford back, get him involved, get him motivated again to play for Man United. And it wouldn't be surprising to see him start on that left side. Cunha in the 10 or up front. That could be a way of replacing Bruno Fernandes. Say you cash in on Fernandes, you could put Rashford on the left, you could put Cunha in the middle, and Buemo on the right or striker, Sesko up front. There's loads of options. Amad as well, going around that as whichever side you want him on. So, I mean, it is looking rosy for United. It's just how is he going to perform when the chips are down and he's got 3 games a week next season? But again, we don't know. We just don't know. But simply right now, the answer is Carrick the right man for United? I don't know. You don't know. Right now he's doing well. Let's just calm it down a bit. That's all I wanted to say. But thank you very much for watching. If you are new, please be sure to like and subscribe. A bit different. I'm not speaking about Arsenal today, just a different topic in football at the moment. But yeah, thank you for watching. See you next time. Goodbye.